You're listening to the Classic Gamers Guild podcast.
This makes my nipples hard.
Hi everybody, welcome to the Classic Gamers Guild podcast. This is me. Paul. Anna's not here. She's doesn't, you know what? Let's not get into where she's at right now. It's this is not going well.
Right. Is that a secret where she is? Like she's.
I think it could be. I think if we make it into one, like maybe you know what's fun? Let's start a rumor.
Okay. What's the rumor then?
Anna's somewhere very shameful and seedy. That's somewhere with a lot of adult stuff going. A lot of German adult stuff going on. A lot of she's on
German adult stuff. What kind of place is that?
It's a place where you don't go to the bathroom before you leave. You don't.
Wow. Okay. So I'm here instead because obviously I'm not at this place.
Yes.
That's not the kind of place that I go to, of course, right?
Right. No, of course not. No, this is a distinguished gentleman sort of podcast.
Oh, sure, of course.
Yeah, boy, yeah. What an absolute mess this has started out to be. But we're having fun. So I'm here with Adventure Game Geek. This is Adventure. Are they allowed to know your real name?
Yeah, it's no secret. Yeah, my real name's Steven.
Yeah, so this is Steven, Adventure Game Geek. You guys know him. If you don't know him, I'm very disappointed because I've been yelling at everybody to check out these channels for a couple months now. But Geek, welcome on. Today we're going to be talking about spooky games, and we're framing it as we're going to help you, the audience, pick a spooky game to play for this Halloween because you have to play one. This is now a homework assignment as well. We're gonna go through some games and give you some like pros and cons and just help you help you get into the right game for you. Ooh.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I've written a whole list, some of which I'm sure you have on your list as well. I mean, like they're all adventure games, of course. I mean, so I haven't included, like some of the more obvious choices for Halloween, like Resident Evil or Silent Hill or something like that. I mean, as much as I love Silent Hill 2 and the Silent Hill series in particular, I haven't included those. But,
perfect. Yeah. Gross. Yeah. Those have action sequences in them. I had to yell at AI this morning. I was having it generate a list for me, and everything was all actiony. I'm like, whoa, hold on. Let's refine this to point and click, my guy. So yeah, that's perfect. And those are some good honorable shouts, right? I'm not a big like console actiony person, but I did play the Resident Evil with multiplayer. Maybe 4 is 4 the multiplayer one. But anyway, it was fun.
Yeah. There's those, and then I don't know. You could also mention stuff like and any of the survival horror stuff, and Amnesia, something like that is another good example.
Stasis, maybe is that fall into that category?
I think so. I'm not so familiar with that one.
Same. Sorry. Yeah. nothing like bringing up games neither of us know anything about.
Yeah. I think we're just going to talk about Stasis for this whole podcast, right?
We're just going to wonder what that shit's about for 43 minutes. But yeah, we got point and click adventures. We don't have any real like limitations other than like we're not sticking to classic. Again, I didn't name this podcast, or else I probably would have named it something different because it's rare that we talk about anything but adventure games or classic stuff. But yeah, we're just gonna go through all the spooky games. Oh, to be pedantic, because everybody listening is nerds like us, and nerds are pedantic. We're pedantic people. This is going to include suspense because there's not a ton of just horror adventure games. So yeah, anything suspense. Yeah, and I guess we'll just kind of go back and forth. So I'm gonna start with I'll start us off for some sort of false sense of leadership, and I'm gonna start us with Midnight Scenes by Octavio Navarro.
I was going to mention that, and
Yes.
I thought I thought that wouldn't be on your list, but it is. So never mind.
It's
Okay, yeah,
it's the only one I snuck in on you too from the list I showed you earlier. This was the only one I thought of later. But so have you played them before, the Midnight Scenes games?
yeah, I have. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Octavio Navarro's work. Yeah, so I think I played all of his games. So I played all the Midnight Scene games, and there's a new one that I think is coming out sometime. But yeah, I think I played all the other ones, and I played the Librarian, and I did a video on that as well. But yeah, like I just really like his style, and you know, like he has such great pixel art. He's such a great pixel artist.
Agreed.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
If I had to pick one, I would pick him kind of probably easily as my favorite. He's been very
Mm.
inspirational to me. I think like a lot of his work in like Thimbleweed Park was part of the reason I really wanted to end up making my own game. And just Midnight Scenes is I picked it first because I'm looking at this long list of games, and it's the one on the list that makes me just like not oddly excited, but just excited. Like I just see it and think of it. I'm like, oh, part of me wants to replay it. The other part of me hasn't played the latest one. I think From the Woods it's
Hmm.
called. So I need to play that. But yeah,
Right.
there's the Highway episode 2 and the Nanny, and they're just like they're just these perfect little slices of horror escapism, and there's a creepy Twilight Zone kind of feel to them, and
Oh
isolation.
yeah, for
So
sure.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the art's amazing. So Midnight Scenes is is my strongest one, which I shouldn't. But I guess I probably shouldn't have said it first. But it's my favorite choice, especially because they're like kind of bite sized, right? So you can play like, and I think they're about 40 minutes each, maybe an hour and a half. I don't know, but they're pretty short. They're kind of short little episodes, and it's just a good. Just
Right. Yeah. And I think there's like three. Is there like three episodes out now, and like a fourth one that's in development? Like the fourth one, there's one called A Safe Place, which is coming soon, and
oh, okay.
then and then the other ones are, yeah, like the ones that you just mentioned, like the Nanny and uh yeah, like the ones that you just mentioned that I've forgotten now.
No, fair enough. Yeah, we've got a bucket of excuses.
From the woods.
From the Woods,
From the
yeah,
woods,
the
yes, yes,
Highway, and then I
and
think just
the other
episode
one,
2
the
is
way.
the other one.
That's it.
But yeah,
Right, right.
I didn't even know about A
Um,
Safe Place. Thanks for mentioning. I'm looking at it now, and it's God, it's just
mhm,
brilliant. They're so beautiful. Yeah,
yep,
his
and
art is just like the
that
pinnacle of like you want to dive into the world and be like, okay, I want to walk around that room.
yeah, and I think has he made any other games besides this? I think it's the Librarian and Midnight Scenes, and I think that's it. Oh
Yeah.
no, sorry, no. He also did. Oh yeah, he did one game which is now called Unwelcome, which was originally called Uninvited. But there was like
Um,
I think there was like some kind of copyright issue because there was another game. Well, there's there's an older game called Uninvited. That adventure game.
Mac Venture,
Uh,
maybe.
yeah, it's like one of those older ones. I played it back in the day. It's like the
Yeah.
same period as like Shadowgate,
Right. Right.
so
Exactly what I'm thinking.
it's in like the same style. So I don't know if it was that or if it was like another game called Uninvited, but yeah, like funnily enough, he recently had to change the name to Unwelcome.
Wow.
so so there you go.
Oh, that's a good shout too. I forgot
Yeah.
about the librarian as well. So yeah, everybody
Oh,
check out Octavian Navarro's work. It's brilliant. You'll bloody love it. And you probably I think the audience listening heard me kind of gush
bloody
about
love it. I think I think that should be our catchphrase for any game that we recommend here.
it.
We should just say like you'll bloody love it. I think that's appropriate.
Exactly. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, this one gets a bloody love it out of 10. That's our gold ranking.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, so what do you got? What will be your first one?
First one.
I mean, they're not really in any order, but what jumps out at you first?
Oh god, I've actually got quite a long list here. Let's see. I mean, obviously we're gonna talk about Phantasmagoria 1 and 2, right?
Yeah,
Of
yeah, and
course, yeah,
that's
yeah, because we
perhaps
both
an
have
appropriate
those.
starting place. We're both big Sierra fans. Our audience is has to be the Sierra fans, or else they wouldn't listen to us. Would be like insufferable. So I'm sure most of them are. So yeah, Phantasmagoria. It's like the flagship horror, at least FMV or Sierra game.
Right. I actually like. Strangely enough, I think I actually played Phantasmagoria 2 before I played 1.
Interesting.
And yeah, and I actually have like like a bit more of in some ways I actually enjoy the second game more. Although like I really respect like the first game because it was so kind of groundbreaking at the time, with what it was doing with like FMV and all of that. But I think as a game I don't find it quite as accessible or enjoyable to play. I mean that's just me. But I certainly appreciate the gore though.
Same.
I really love those kind of gory scenes and everything, and I love like the final chapter of the game when you're kind of running away from oh god, what's the character's name?
La something. I feel like it might be French. Because I'm thinking of the spirit that possesses Don, but I guess we could say Don.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I think you're thinking of LeChuck. It's actually
LeDon.
Yeah, I that's right. Of course, LeChuck was in Phantasmagoria. Like, yeah, it was actually a zombie pirate that was like chasing us through the mansion. Yeah,
beloved Sierra character LeChuck. Yeah, that's.
I'd love to see that, yeah, but no, yeah, sorry, Don, yeah. When you're running away from Don, and there's like there's so many different places that you can run to and hide and all of that. I thought that part was great, but I thought like some other parts of the game I thought were kind of very kind of slow to develop, I guess. And there's a lot of looking in that game,
Yeah.
like it almost feels like you kind of like because it was like a new thing, like seeing someone kind of in a video kind of looking and inspecting something, that was kind of like an innovation at the time, but now it's kind of like, oh, okay, so that was it, like they just looked at it, and so
Right.
like and nothing actually happened. And so I was like, am I missing something? Like, oh, okay, we just looked at it. So I kind of feel there's a lot of that going on, which kind of slowed the pace of the game down for me. But I mean, of course, it's a classic.
Right, that's a good point. Like one of
But
the larger gameplay mechanics is having things described to you for 3 hours.
well, like not even described though. It's like she'll just kind of like look at something but not actually say anything. And I'll be
Right.
and the thing is, like, if you're stuck, like you'll kind of keep doing that over and over, and just kind of have to sit through that. And I'm like, oh, it's yeah. But like I think that's one of my main gripes. But like overall, it's great. And yeah, like Phantasmagoria 2 is a real guilty pleasure of mine. I play that every few years, and I've gotten into the habit of mentioning it in several of my videos. Like it's kind of like a running joke now. I'll just kind of mention Phantasmagoria 2. Just I don't know. It's just it's just a guilty pleasure. So
It deserves it.
yeah.
I'm trying to bring my memory because I think it was from your videos. Did you chop in cut in the just that totally bonkers weird dancing segment scene into some of your videos?
Yeah, I did.
Yes. Okay, I
Yeah.
love it. Yes. Because I remember seeing that in your video, and it was just one of those moments where it's like, okay, somebody else out there saw that for what it was, like I did. Like this is the weirdest moment in possibly in adventure games.
Like, yeah, I'm trying to. I'm sure there's a story behind that. I can't remember if I've heard it before. I'm sure Paul Morgan Stetler from Conversations with Curtis would know more about it. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's just so random.
It
Yeah, when he
is.
walks in, well, like when he walks into the club, and then those guys like go past, like like just doing this dance. But I really appreciate that kind of thing. Like it doesn't take itself like too seriously. And they certainly put a whole lot of kind of bloopers and outtakes in that game and kind of Easter eggs.
That's right, with the Batman
Yeah,
costume. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. The Batman costume and like all sorts of like funny things you can do. I think it's like, you know, one of the adventure games that I played that has the most Easter eggs in it. Yeah.
It sounds like I think we're coming from a really similar spot because I kind of look at Phantasmagoria too. I kind of revere that game. Like maybe a large part of it was I had just less than no expectations for it because I don't know. As I've said, I think on this pod before, like they kind of fucked that game by naming it Phantasmagoria 2 because it really has nothing really to do with it, and it almost deserves better.
Yeah. I think if you're going to compare it to Phantasmagoria 1, I don't think that's a really fair comparison.
Right.
You know, and also just, yeah, I mean, it's just a very kind of different. It's a very different game. You know, I mean, they're both FMVs, but it just plays very differently.
Right, and it's like I'm picking up the same hesitation from you that I have, where it's like I don't really want to like crap on Phantasmagoria 1 in the same sense that I wouldn't want to like rip on King's Quest 1 because it's like it was trailblazing FMVs and it was learning a lot about what to do in that, you know, was making an FMV adventure game, and it doesn't feel right to kind of pick on it, but. Yeah, you said it best. Comparing them's not fair because two is. I mean, even looking at the stories, like 1 is a really thin storyline, whereas 2 is quite masterful. Like Lorelei Shannon wrote a hell of a story for that game.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Even though like the setting and kind of some of the gameplay is kind of mundane. I mean, you know, I think I made that point in my video. You know, like the fact that, you know, like you're playing out like just kind of your day at the office in you know, gory detail,
right?
You know, or something like that. You're just like sitting at the computer writing the Venomant document or whatever it is,
yeah.
And you know, but that's kind of all part of its charm. And then like talking to your like work colleagues and kind of getting to know that whole kind of web of relationships there and stuff like that. I guess are we kind of talking about these games in terms of them being kind of appropriate for Halloween, right? So kind of spooky or scary or whatever, right?
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah. I guess we kind of should be. I immediately forgot my own framing for this.
Right. So yeah. Phantasmagoria 1 and 2, definitely Halloween appropriate games, right?
Exactly.
Sure.
So okay. Here's I would maybe argue this. Tell me if you agree with this. Play Phantasmagoria 1 if you want like a campy kind of laugh at it horror experience, and play 2 if you want like an actual gripping story that's it's actually quite complex and has you like, yeah, it's a more serious, I guess, experience.
Like Phantasmagoria 2 is more serious? I don't know.
I could immediately. Yeah, I'm thinking of now. I think of like the S and M. There's scenes that could seriously argue that.
Well, yes, of course. Of course, the S and M stuff is super serious. I mean, yeah, like it's not often that you see that in an adventure game,
right? No, exactly not.
So
yeah, serious isn't the right word either. It's because I don't know. I guess I'm trying to frame it where like Phantasmagoria 1 is like this kind of campier horror thing. We're kind of more laughing at it, like over the top acting and stuff like that, where it's
right
enjoyable on that level, on like a more laugh at it instead of with it level. And then Phantasmagoria 2 is more like not a serious story, but just, I hate to say it, but a good story. it's what's the word? Oh yeah, good.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of hard to talk about it without spoiling it, but yeah, it's all, yeah. The story is about kind of like your own, you know, identity and psychology and all that, and then there's all the scenes where you go to the psychologist. Yeah, and actually, it's true. Like it does actually get kind of serious because I hadn't really thought of it that way, but it does kind of delve into some kind of deeper, deeper themes there for sure.
Right.
But like, I'm probably just thinking of the S&M stuff all the time, being like, oh like that scene where he's like hanging from the ceiling by like chains or something. It's like,
right.
yeah, like Yeah, I remember that. But yeah, like now that you mention it, yeah, it can be yeah, it does like a serious side to it. Um
And it
I just sorry, like I just wish they had the time and the budget to to finish the
to
game,
finish it, yeah,
they like to finish it because yeah, like that last section,
loses
yeah,
its mind. Yeah, the game.
yeah,
And it's an odd, almost adventure game. I don't know, problem. I guess you could say. There's so many great adventure games that just kind of lose their mind at the end. Like the last act just goes off the rails. Sometimes for better or worse. Like, okay, in an accidentally smooth transition to something else on my list, I have Kathy Rain, and I would say Kathy Rain. First
right.
of all, it's on here just for the suspense factor, and it's a little bit of a reach even listing this one, and I might have skipped it if not for this, but it does kind of go off the rails at the end as well. But it does it much better. It does it in a premeditated way. Whereas I think
Ah,
Phantasmagoria 2 I think went off the rails in a we're running out of budget and time sort of way, and they just kind of wrapped it up. I'm not
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. That one in particular, yeah, that's a really good example of how I'm sure they would have done it differently, if they were able to, but like they just had to wrap it up somehow. But it just yeah, like it just like it came from a different game, um, you
yeah.
know. And Kathy Rain. No, I've never really considered Kathy Rain like a Halloween game. I may be forgetting something, because I only played that the one time, and I honestly can't remember too much about it. Um,
Yeah.
so
No, it's fair because
um,
it's a reach to put that on the list. Towards the end of the game, it does get kind of darker, and there's like this more kind of twisted vibe, and but the majority, the meat of the
oh
game is mostly just yeah, like thriller suspense is still kind of pushing it. Yeah, no, this one's a stretch.
yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, it's yeah. I guess it's towards the end. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I guess it's towards the end that things get things get weird. But yeah, I would I like if we're gonna list that like we might as well also list like all the Blackwell games then.
Right.
Because I kind of find those like very kind of similar in style.
Agreed.
Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, and of course, it has kind of ghosts and all of that. So you know,
Yeah, it's interesting. Something about just like I guess like investigative work combined with like raining atmospheres. It's not really
Mhm.
Halloween. Maybe it's more like just an October autumn kind of vibe, or like a.
Yeah, yeah, sure, yeah.
I'll take it.
Hmm.
Okay, I got the sure on that. I think I should cash out immediately.
Yeah, right. Okay.
um, yeah.
Is it your turn? Is it your turn or my turn then?
Let's say your turn. I'll consider Kathy Rain
Oh,
a shoehorn.
okay. Let's see. Oh, there's so many examples here. Like whenever I'm thinking of a Halloween game, like I always think of like Dracula or whatever. So of course, we can include like all the Dracula games. There's like there's Dracula Resurrection and The Last Sanctuary, and then there's like another three Dracula games after that. There's like Dracula 3, Path of the Dragon, and there's Dracula 4 and 5. I've actually only played like the first two. Um, but there's that whole series.
See, I've never played these before. I was just pulling up just some
Oh,
some screenshots of them. Okay, so I guess how would you pitch it to me then?
how would I pitch those Dracula games?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, oh, what would I compare them to? Um, well, like the first two are kind of they kind of go together because like the story kind of follows on like from the first to the second,
Okay.
and like they're not actually that long, so like I kind of consider those together. And uh, what would I compare it to? Like the style is it's a little bit like the Necronomicon game,
Okay.
which
Right.
like which is one of the first videos I did, and like one of my only videos where like I really kind of like express my my well not anger but my frustration at the game.
Un-
Because I really didn't enjoy that game. I thought it was terrible.
Your
And
unbridled critique.
right, exactly. And I kind of went angry video game nerd on it, and like just like and I destroyed the game with a chainsaw, which which was actually really therapeutic at the time. Some people didn't. I don't think they appreciated that. Because they thought it wasn't very respectful to the game, but I mean, it's like I was just expressing my frustration at it. Basically, I don't often do that, um, and also like for the record, I did actually feel bad for doing that, and I did actually buy the game again afterwards. So I still have I still have a copy of it. So
See, that
but
part's
anyway,
adorable. I can just imagine you like
right.
blacking out and waking up to the smell of chainsaw gas and
That's right, and just like all these like shards of like
yeah.
the game lying around. I'm like, oh my god, what happened? Yeah, exactly. I was possessed at the time. It wasn't even me. Um, so uh, so yeah, but no. Anyway, yeah. So getting back to Dracula, yes. So I did a video on those two games as well, on Resurrection and Last Sanctuary. Um, yeah, and they're like Necronomicon, but I prefer them. I like them better. Like they're fairly simple games, and like the funny thing about those games is the like the cutscenes, like because there's some uh really interesting close-ups of like these characters, and they have this like these really grotesque faces, but they kind of like come like right up, like extreme close up to the camera, right? And so it's just like it's really it actually kind of enhances the like the game, because it kind of gives you that kind of unsettling feeling, like anyone you're talking to is like right in your face, you
Right.
know and stuff like that. So yeah, like that's one of the things I remember from it, you know
I could see that. I'm
um
looking at a screenshot. It's like this I don't know, like a man baby wearing like a bonnet, and he's
so
signaling
oh
for you to
right
be quiet.
oh really, I think that might be the innkeeper. Yeah,
Okay.
there's like an inn lady. uh
Oh wow,
that's like
that's yeah, you're right. That's a handsome woman.
that's it. And he said it was what, like a man baby with a bonnet. that's that's great. That's a good description.
I think we found the thumbnail for this
Yeah,
episode.
that's a right, sure. But yeah, those games are quite fun. I wouldn't really call them particularly scary, or gory even. Um, I had fun playing them, and and you get to go. So in the second game, you get to explore like Dracula's castle, and solve a bunch of puzzles in there, and all of that. So yeah, it's good stuff.
It looks pretty cool.
I don't. Yeah, like I don't know the other games, but I do know those two.
Well, for the listeners, it's on sale. It's 90% off. You can get the trilogy for 99 cents right now. So, and actually, I think
Really? Okay, well, yeah, I would say like for that price, it's definitely worth it for
yeah,
sure.
I'm gonna pick
Yeah,
this up myself. Add it to the just ginormous queue of games I'll play one day.
that's right.
I'm really bad with this era of game. Like this, I think the first one came out in it's telling me October '99. So like anything from like
Right.
'99 to like 2010, I'm just like I have a huge hole in my uh
Ah.
not resume, but portfolio. Nope, not that. Well, you know what I mean. Basically, like Longest Journey, Siberia. Like I missed all those games, like the early Naughty's
Oh.
games.
All right. Yeah, I wouldn't compare it to to anything like that. I mean,
right? You're like, pump the brakes here. It's not that good.
right. Yeah. I mean, like, I don't think anyone would say that they're like, the greatest adventure games of all time or anything. But you know,
All right, here I'll pick up from there because this just off the bat, there's like it's not really a isometric. I'm bad at transitions. I'm just gonna say my next one is Sanitarium,
Mhm.
and I'm imagining you've
Oh, that was on my list as well. Okay,
great.
I
Okay,
I I think I think our lists are going to be mostly the same. Although, like, yeah, I think I do have some more obscure ones that probably people haven't heard of. But yeah, like I was going to mention that. Yeah, I can't really say much about Sanitarium because that's one of the games that like I've always been meaning to play, and I've heard so many good things about it, but I've just never gotten around to play it, and it's I really need to play it at some point.
no, that's fair.
So
There's always the odd game, especially like with you having a channel or me having the podcast. Like some games make me feel like an odd sense of guilt or shame for having not played it. Like how dare I be a host of a adventure game podcast and I've never played Grim Fandango? But that's the truth. I just haven't yet.
right.
So I
Yeah,
get
I definitely have some games like that. Like I don't know if Sanitarium would be one of them, maybe, but yeah, for sure. Yeah, stuff that like everyone seems to have played,
right.
except you. Like like Day of the Tentacle. It's like people. I mean, I have played Maniac Mansion, but Day of the Tentacle I haven't. And people always go on about it.
Right. It's like when you
But
haven't seen a movie that's classic and like, I've never seen Alien, so right away it's like, oh, you haven't seen
what?
like that. Yeah, there
Oh,
you go.
okay, okay. We're ending the podcast right now. I can't. I can't. I can't talk to someone who hasn't seen Aliens. That's just crazy.
I
No,
should
I'm
do a
just kidding.
hard cut here and be like, hey guys, it's 3 days later. He was serious about that. I had to I had to watch it to get him back on. But yeah, for
Yeah.
Sanitarium,
So Sanitarium, yeah.
I would sales pitch it as it's possibly the strongest one on my list, just as far as like a truly Halloween appropriate adventure game. I'm not a
Mm.
big fan of anything that's not like pixel art. Like that sounded more snobby than I meant it to be. I guess I prefer pixel art, and there's so many games that are that I can usually get away with putting off anything that's not for quite some time. But Sanitarium is a total exception. Um, some of the levels like each it's broken down into like segments, and like one or two of the segments is kind of bonkers. The insect world, for the listeners that have played it, that way you can just be like, yep, okay, he said the thing I was thinking, because that world is insane. But it's a really cool, it's just a really Halloween appropriate. I mean, the first level you walk through a pumpkin patch. I don't know what else people want from me. That's
Right, and it's all like, so like does it all take place like within like the sanitarium, like the mental asylum, or what?
See, that's actually an oddly loaded question, because it's like it takes place, I guess, in the protagonist's mind, but he's physically
Ah,
in a sanitarium. So it's
right.
in an onion way, sort of, yeah,
Okay.
in a layered way, yeah. But yeah,
Hmm.
I recommend that
Yeah.
one. It's on mobile, it's on tablets and stuff, so you could play it while you poop. I mean, adventure games aren't good like that, but you could. You have to have some pretty bad
I
stomach problems.
play it while. Oh, okay. No, I don't think I've ever played an adventure game while pooping. No. So I don't know. Like, maybe one of these days, like maybe it would make an interesting video, or not.
Right? You just log how many hours you got in before your legs fell asleep. It's
Right. I think, well, like the kind of game, if I was to play, I can't believe we're talking about this now, but I mean, if I was to play an adventure game on the toilet, I'm sorry, sorry, that's so ridiculous.
top five
Like,
adventure
yeah,
games while doing a poop. Yeah,
I, no, I think no, I think I probably wouldn't play most adventure games on the toilet because I'd want to give the adventure game like my full attention, and I want to be playing it on my PC and not on my phone. Like I don't play adventure games on my phone, but I think like the exception might be kind of hidden object games, and stuff like
Right.
that, which is kind of like more casual. So yeah, like that kind of stuff. But I certainly wouldn't play. Yeah, like Sanitarium. I don't think is probably not really appropriate
Right, yeah,
for
just
that. But
dropping your drawers and be like, "All right, let's get tucked into a sanitarium now for the next 3
any,
hours." Right.
anyway, but yeah, like I don't know, like maybe you can have a podcast like called like adventure games to play while you poop or something. That would be
Right, yeah,
cool.
that's we'll have you back on
So
for that one. That's
yeah,
what we'll do.
okay, I'll be happy to talk about that.
We need to do some R&D first, but we'll come back at you guys with
Sure. Hmm.
All right, that's
Anyway,
I guess that'll do for sanitarium. You wanna go
yeah.
next?
Sure. Yeah, I thought I would mention like any of the games developed by Matt Clark and Jonathan Boakes, like the guys who I met in Cornwall a few
Mm,
months ago. So yeah, like they've done the Barrow Hill games, like Darkfall games, and Lost Crown as well. And yeah, like I'm a big fan of all of their games, and they're all I think they're all kind of Halloween appropriate. Because the thing that those guys do the best is like atmosphere, like spooky atmosphere. And so I feel like those games are definitely worth a mention. And then like the last game I played from them was Incubus,
mm.
which is like a ghost hunting game, and it's actually really close to kind of real ghost hunting, and it's set in a house that is actually like a real house in like the East End of London, which is actually haunted.
Oh,
And so
cool.
you kind of go into this house with like all of your ghost hunting gadgets, and then you have to kind of determine what kind of ghost there is like in what part of the house, and all of that. So yeah, like that was definitely Halloween appropriate as well. So yeah, basically anything that those guys do. Yeah.
I'm in a unique position where I know more about Barrow Hill from your video, so that I know more about the real Barrow Hill than I do the games. I do own,
Oh,
I think, both of them. I know I own Ancient Circle one. Um, yeah, it's my excuse is like being in development with my own game. I haven't had time to play like anybody's new games recently, but I'm still trying to like buy them up and
oh,
support them and hopefully play them later, kind of thing. But this one really stuck out, like you said, for the atmosphere. And then what
mm,
I loved about your video is going to the real Barrow Hill. And this I guess I'll take a quick time out for the listeners to say like this is how I found your YouTube channel. Which would be I saw this morning. It was like I think it was 4 years ago that you did the Beast Within videos, and
yeah, 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 yeah. That's right. Yeah.
I just got to plug them
Hmm.
to everybody listening because to me it's almost like your videos are like a supplement to the game. Like they're almost like a necessary part because it was like when I was done that game, I needed what your videos gave me. Like I laid in bed like literally that night just thinking about the game and wondering what was real and what wasn't, was as far as
Mm,
Jane's
hmm.
wonderful writing, like, what part of history was actually true. And, if, I found myself just like on Wikipedia and Google for like the next 2 days trying to decipher what actually happened with Wagner and what didn't. And so finding
Yeah.
your videos was just like, yeah, it was just a perfect supplement, like where you actually went to the locations and just like added a whole new dimension to this game. So for everybody listening, if you've played Beast Within, I'm going to link it in this episode too, so people can get to it quickly. But definitely check out Geek's videos on that. And if you don't mind, since I got you, just give me like a quick insight on what that was like to go to Germany and go to those locations.
Oh, yeah, yeah. It was yeah, it was a real experience. Like to go because like I'd never been I'd never been to these places, and so I'd only seen them in the game. So I had all the screenshots like for reference from the game, and I was really surprised like how closely they matched to like the real locations, like even today. I mean, you can still recognize them, and you can get like kind of like the same angle
Right,
and everything, and kind of like
right,
recreate those recreate the scenes and everything. um but yeah, like it's so interesting to see like where reality stops, and then kind of like the
Yeah.
game kind of fills in the blanks. Yeah, I'm probably it's definitely worth going back there at some point, because there are like certain places that that I didn't get to go to, because like there are quite a few locations that you can visit, and I missed out on Neuschwanstein Castle,
Mm.
because like for some reason I thought it would be a good idea to go there you know at night during a snowstorm. I don't know why I thought that was good, but like it's and someone actually made a comment about that. It's like, yeah, you went there at night. What do you expect? It's like, well, okay, I guess well, no, but I think what happened is like we were supposed to arrive a lot earlier, and then I don't know, we just like got delayed or something like that.
It's the guy in the
But
comments.
you
You're
but
like,
you, you
what are you,
know
the hindsight police? You know?
right. It's like, well, okay, but look, not everything works out. No, not everything is going to work out. Like the way that you plan it. So, but it's a good excuse to go back and
Yeah.
and see these places. And then I did, and then more recently I did the same thing with the Lost Crown and Barrow Hill. Like Barrow Hill being based on like like those stone circles and all of that. And there's a lot of places that you can recognize from Lost Crown as well, like in Cornwall.
Right.
So yeah, but I love doing that. There's not that many games that you can do that with. I'd love to do that for Gabriel Knight 3, in France, and it's in France, right? That location.
I still haven't
I think
played it
like
yet.
Rue. Oh God, I'm blanking on the name. Rue de Chateau. Sorry, well, I don't know.
That's believable.
Uh,
Even if it's not right, as long as you add the chateau, it's believable.
it's yeah, that's right.
it's in Asante Gu, France. You know.
um, yeah. So yeah, there's that. I to go to Sweden for a few years, because I want to go to the locations from the Cara Reed games.
Oh, cool. Right.
So yeah, there's those. Yeah, and yeah, any game that's kind of based on like real photos, you can do that. So yeah, I did that with Detritus as well, like which everyone knows, I'm sure. It's it's like based on this kind of like medieval village um
I'm
in
not
in in
frantically trying to
England.
pull it up on Google. No, I know exactly what's.
Right. Yeah, I don't blame you for not knowing about Detritus. So
All
yeah.
right. That's one specific question. Did you go to Germany just to do that video, or was it like, well, while I'm here I'll talk about.
No, well, like I mean, I went there with my girlfriend, and like she lives there anyway, so I was just visiting her. But yeah, we took that trip to Munich, like pretty much to kind of visit all these places.
Right.
Uh, yeah, but like she's not so much of an adventure game fan than me. So like if you ask her, like she'll tell you she'll tell you something a little bit different,
Right.
because because like she doesn't have the same kind of connection to it. So yeah, sorry, it's from Gabriel Knight 3, it's Rennes le Chateau. Sorry, yeah,
Okay.
that's the name of the place. So
Well, I mean, I love the visual of you walking around Germany with screenshots, like holding them up, trying to compare compare to the local
yeah, right.
scenery.
Yeah, well, yeah, because I was really, I really wanted to get like like the same shot as much as possible. So then I can transition between the two.
Right. Right.
And I think I mean for the most part, like I think they match pretty well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that might be my most viewed video. That one, for
Yeah, I was
sure.
just looking this morning because I wanted to see how long I've been watching your channel, basically, because I knew I could base it on that, and that was 4 years ago, and I think it has 15,000 views on it. So yeah, it's crushing it.
Right.
And I guess since we're on the subject, would you consider Gabriel Knight 2 a good Halloween game?
Um, I guess so. I mean, I don't know if it has that much. It doesn't have that much to do with Halloween. Like it doesn't have like pumpkins in it, I don't think.
Right, that's fair.
But yeah, right. Basically, anything with pumpkins is a Halloween
We
game. But
really narrowed our list
yeah,
down here. Yeah.
I mean, it has werewolves. So if
Oh yeah.
if we're including like the Dracula games, then we of course we should include that. Because it has werewolves. And it does have some kind of spooky, scary parts to it, especially kind of later on in like the forest.
Mm.
When you're being kind of chased by the wolf
Right.
or the
Right.
wolves, something. And but there is that. Yeah, but I don't immediately think of it associated with Halloween. No.
Yeah. Like, but
Mm.
before I started making the list for this episode, the first few games I wrote down were almost like, well, if you panic and you don't have any games to talk about, you can bring up Gabriel Knight and Laura Bow. But now that we're in it, I don't think I need them.
I actually, I was actually thinking about that because like I saw that Colonel's Bequest was on your list, and I never really thought about it, but yeah, I guess it is Halloween appropriate. I think like that's probably the adventure game that you know I've played that has like the most jump scares in it.
Right.
And so like because of that, you can consider it, you know, Halloween appropriate, sure.
Yeah, that's a good angle.
No pumpkins, but
Right. There are pros and cons. Cons, there's a disappointing amount of pumpkins in it, but that's fair because Dagger von Monra has some jump scares too, or at least they kind of present the deaths in like a jump scare fashion, where it's like all of a sudden like, and there's the dead body on the porcupine or whatever.
Oh yeah, Amon Ra. I only played that like the one time actually. Yeah, like that's one of the few games that I actually streamed. Like I did
Oh,
like a
cool.
live stream of that, which I don't normally do because it's just not really my style, and I can only talk for so long before
Right.
my before my voice kind of starts giving out or whatever, and I don't know what else to say. So
Right, and
that
it's hard to get immersed in a game and like pay like I don't know. I would have a hard time streaming adventure games because it's so like story centric, and you kind of have to I guess not pay attention to talk to. I guess I just can't multitask, right? Like talking to other people and taking a story in.
Yeah, I mean, especially if a game, if a game has a lot of dialogue that you have to kind of listen to,
Right,
like half the time I'm just going to be sitting listening to dialogue, and then I'll be like, okay, I guess we'll go over here now, and all that. So I have kind of trouble coming up with, stuff to say really, but that's just me. But like, whereas like someone like Trolls, like Space Quest historian, like he can do that because he can do that for hours.
right, yeah, that's fair.
But I can't. I don't have so much endurance. So
It makes me feel like when a guest comes over to see somebody else, and you just have to entertain them while the other person finishes getting ready. It's like just
uh-huh.
this weird interim period of like trying to keep them like satiated, but also not really fully get into it because you don't know when you get to pay attention to the dialogue next. And anyway,
Right, and like also like my style of playing adventure games is quite slow because I do like to take my time to kind of examine everything and like go through all the options. I'll try different dialogue options or whatever, and so it's not always like kind of suited to live streaming. But anyway, yeah, Colonel's Bequest, yeah. Um, yeah, certainly quite a few jump scares that got me in that game, and like Amon Ra, like I don't remember, the jump scares so much. I remember the setting more,
right, that's fair.
in that game, and like the same with Beast Within, like I don't think so much of just like the scary parts. I think more of the kind of historical aspect to it, like the whole kind of the whole story with the lost Wagner opera,
Hmm.
and like the kind of history behind it and all of that. I kind of think more about that than about uh the kind of werewolf stuff. I mean, yeah, like the werewolf stuff is part of it, but that, like that's not like the whole story.
Right.
It's also about like the opera and the history and like the being a Schattenjäger and what that means, and just all of that stuff, and the relationship between Gabriel and Grace, and
Yeah.
all of that. So there's like there's a lot of layers to that game.
Yeah,
So
no, you hit it bang on the head when because I think earlier when you said werewolf, I responded with like, oh yeah, like I think I literally kind of forgot about that for a second because in my memory it's like I'm really holding up the historical aspects and yeah, just that whole side of it with Queen. I can't think of her name. Was it Queen? Wasn't Queen Anne? Was it? Doesn't matter. No need to put us on the spot.
I don't know. I should know this, but
I know I always do that. I do this to Anna too. Don't worry. I put everybody on the spot with stuff we feel like we should know. It's yeah, I can't help it. It's like my inner trickster, I think. But I will say this made me think of Gabriel Knight 1 in that it's very similar where I'm not like I would almost have omitted if it wasn't for you just talking about that made me think of the end part where you're going through, I don't know if they're catacombs, but you're going through like that kind of dark cave, and that was genuinely terrifying for me as a grown person.
right, right. When you go, yeah, and then there's kind of right, and then there's like zombies that
Yeah.
kind of appear, and like yeah. That part is that part is pretty scary. Yeah.
All right, so yeah, we can shove them into the list. All right, I think that was me because of Gabriel Knight too. So you go next, mate.
All right, mate. Let's see. uh, what should I mention? Hmm. Okay. Like all of the horror soft games are all Halloween appropriate.
Oh yeah.
So basically, like the two Elvira games and Waxworks,
Mhm.
which I'm actually going to be doing a video on this month,
Oh yeah. Cool.
and Personal Nightmare as well. That was like
Right.
the first one. That was like the first one they did. So yeah. So all of those. I would say I attempted to play Elvira, and like I really want I really wanted to get further in it, but I could not get my head around the combat in that game. Like I don't know, like I feel like I might have been doing something wrong, but it just felt like whatever I did, it was so kind of like random. I didn't feel like I had any control over like the combat in that game, but I
Which
don't
is
know. I mean,
which is weird because adventure games usually have great combat mechanics.
yeah, right. I mean, it's kind of Elvira and like those horror soft games are kind of weird kind of hybrids. They have kind of adventure like RPG dungeon crawl elements to them,
That's
and
fair. They
and
kind of
and
remind
and,
me of
and
the
and
Mac
stuff.
Venture games in a sense,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
Shadowgate.
exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, have you played any of those?
I played Personal Nightmare and Waxworks, but like 25 years ago, like as a kid. So it's like
Oh,
I games like that are weird for me because it's like it's a technical yes, but I might as well not have because it was so long ago, and I don't. I could trick myself into thinking I remember them by looking at screenshots, but I really don't.
okay. So do you remember like what do you remember like from playing Waxworks then? Like, do you remember any of it?
I guess not. No, like as far as like actual
Oh,
elements of the game or story, no. It's more just like a note in my head where it's like, yes, you've technically played that, and that's as far as it goes.
uh, oh, okay. Well, I think yeah, because like the thing about like Waxworks is that I never actually played it, but I was aware of it because I'd seen like some screenshots in like the computer magazines, and they would always show like the kind of death scenes,
Right,
they'd always show like those kind of gory deaths in order to promote like the game.
right.
And so like that's how I kind of always associated it. It's like, oh yeah, Waxworks, yeah, it's that game where like that guy's head gets chopped off or whatever.
Right, yeah.
Like, or like, oh yeah, it's that scene I remember seeing where like this this guy's guts like were kind of coming out or whatever, like, but it's like, yeah, like they really like they really kind of promoted it that way. And yeah, I mean, it's effective because as a kid you're like, oh wow, that's so cool. I get, well, I mean, if you're into kind of gory deaths like that, well, either you say, oh, that's cool, or you say, oh, that's disgusting. Like,
Right, yeah.
it kind of depends whether you're into that. But yeah, I mean, I'll talk about it more in my video. I mean, I think that, yeah, like the death scenes are a highlight, but the game itself is something else. So, so yeah.
Love it. Okay, that says a lot. How about I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream? Have you played that?
Oh yeah, and I did a video on that one. Yeah, that's a heavy one. Like that's that's one of those games where like I never, I can't say I really enjoyed playing it.
Right, I
It's
agree. I'm glad I
it's
did, but I
very,
didn't enjoy it. Or yeah, not didn't
yeah.
enjoy it, but yeah, it was an experience as opposed to fun.
Yeah, it's just it just has some very kind of heavy subjects in it, like to do with, like especially the stuff with is it Auschwitz or something like that,
Right.
and stuff like that, and kind of like doing like these kind of surgical experiments on people, and it's kind of grim, like
Yes.
there's some, there's some grim stuff in there, and it's not always fun. I mean, it's a good game, but not so. I didn't find it so easy or fun to play. But
Yeah, you're right. It's not. It almost takes a bit of effort. It's not like a fun horror Phantasmagoria 1 or Night Trap, like a fun jump scary whatever.
no.
It's more like existential dread kind of
Mhm.
scary. And
Right. Yeah, I think that's a good description. Yeah. Hmm.
and I'm reminded now. So I tend to when I finish a game, I'll jump on your channel or Trolls or Pushing Up Roses, and I'll try, if any of you guys have done a video on it, I like to watch that after. And I'm immediately reminded pulling it up on your channel that you did this video with your mom, I think, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, yeah, that's right. And of course, like she has absolutely no idea,
Right.
like what the game is. So I'll be like, like I'll show the game to her. It's like, oh yeah, it's like today we're going to be talking about I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. I Must Scream. And she's like, oh, okay, that's nice.
Oh,
And
see.
she has absolutely no idea like what it's about.
Oh,
But yeah, like I did that with her. I also did like the two Dark Seed 1 and 2,
oh wow.
with her as well. So it's kind of funny. I kind of pick these like horror games that like she something that she would definitely not play, basically. And like the whole joke is that she basically she just has no idea
It's the perfect
about it.
contrast because she's so just delightful and charming and kind, and she's like in I Have No Mouth, she's wearing like what looks to be like a hand knit holiday sweater, and then you drop I Have No Mouth
Yes.
on her.
Yeah, it's like Christmas time. Yeah, like we're sitting at like sitting by the Christmas tree, and like she's wearing like a Christmas sweater. We're talking about I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. It's like, yeah, okay, that's a Christmas appropriate game.
Right.
Sure. Yeah.
So I Have No Mouth. I just remembered just now that I had some sort of loose framing at the beginning of this, so I'm just going to kick it in and be like, "Hey, listeners! So earlier we said that you should maybe play a game we're talking about. This would be the game to play if you don't want like scary, but if you want like just dreadful and dark and like this is almost in the true spirit of this time of year, where it's like it's not for so much entertainment, but just to actually soak
Mm.
in some like truly dark vibes. You would go I Have No Mouth.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Um. Okay. Is it? Whose turn is it?
Yeah, your turn.
Oh, is it my? It's my turn again.
I think
Okay.
so. Is it? Did I
All
just
right.
Uno reverse you?
Maybe. I can say I can choose something else.
You know what?
Um.
Since we're sort of on it, real quick, what are your thoughts on
hmm.
Dark Seeds? Are they Halloween games?
Yeah, I'd say. I mean, if you're going to include "I Have No Mouth," I think you can include that. Yeah, it's like they have all the like the Geiger art in there, and
Right.
um, I think like it definitely has that kind of aesthetic. There's no pumpkins, but it's basically we're just gonna go through all the games and like just say whether they have pumpkins or not. You know, so I can just imagine like pumpkins and dark, like what Geiger's interpretation of like a pumpkin would be. It's,
So a safety
it's like
pin through a face, clearly.
right, exactly. Yeah, that's actually Geiger's version of a pumpkin. You're right. You're right. Exactly.
Does
Yeah.
Darkseid, is that one of those games that has just like bullshit puzzles, just really hard, unfun puzzles, or am I mixing that?
Well, that game, yeah, like the tricky thing about that game is the time mechanic.
Ah,
Like I was just reminded of that because I was watching someone like stream it the other day. I think it was on Twitch. I think it was Sonovelt. Do you know them?
no.
Uh, oh, okay. Yeah, like they often stream adventure games, and they were streaming Darkseid, and I was just kind of I was reminded of it because I hadn't played it in a long time, and so but yeah, like that game is tough. I mean, like there's so many ways that you can screw up, like and not even know it, because you have to do like certain things at a certain
Oh,
time, like on a certain day, like the time keeps ticking, right? So you're kind of on real time. Well, it's not really real time; it's kind of sped up, you know, but it's like that game is brutal. Like, like unless you know what you're doing, like you're just gonna like get to the end and have no idea like what you did wrong,
right. Oh, that's
and
cruel.
and it has like the real world and the dark world, and so you have to kind of go back and forth between the two, and like you do one thing in one world and it affects the other world. It's I found it really intriguing, like at the time. It was also fascinating at the time because it had speech, and not a lot of games at the time did,
Mm,
so it was like kind of a real novelty to actually
right.
hear the characters talking and all that. And it had a really awesome big box, which I thought was really cool. So the presentation was great, but damn, yeah, like that
Downhill from
game,
there.
but like that game's tough. That game's tough. Yeah, yeah. I think you. I mean, if anyone can figure that out without a walkthrough, then I think they deserve some kind of medal or something. If
Right.
the, if yeah, if there's like an award for award for that, but yeah.
Right. So Darkseid is like for the masochists, I guess. For anybody just
The mask, yeah, which is why I enjoyed it so much. That's right, because yeah, which is why I love Darkseid and Phantasmagoria too, because yeah,
nice tie-in.
because I'm such a masochist. That's true. Yeah, yeah.
Brilliant. All right. Let's see. How about you know what? You go for real this time. I think I just kind of shoehorned Darkseid in, but yeah, go ahead.
Okay, well, yeah, I mean, like that was also on my list
Oh, good.
as well. I think I should also mention Harvester as well.
Ah, nice.
I think that's a really good example. Definitely one of the most gory adventure games for sure. Like, yeah, on the same level as kind of Phantasmagoria One. Um, and yeah, I still have to finish let's playing that with Arno Malin, who's kind of like the harvester expert. Yeah,
Right.
we've been doing that for years now, and it's kind of like it's like an ongoing thing, you know.
Right.
Um,
Oh, that's
but
awesome.
yeah, there's like a lot, you know, there's a lot to that game, and yeah, and it also has that kind of time, you know, time day mechanic, kind of like Darkseid, but just not as unforgiving. Uh, Basically, where you can do certain things on certain days and all of that. Um, but yeah, like, are you familiar with Harvester at all?
I am, and I'm so glad you brought it up because
Yeah.
that would be one of those games if we got through this whole episode and didn't mention it, like that would be, I feel like I'd get yelled at for that one. Like, how did you not bring up Harvester? And like it's just gotta be said. Yeah, I've never finished that game myself. Not so much out of choice. I think I think I started playing it way back in the day, like when it came out. Well, a couple years after it came out, but I had never finished it. I'm not sure what
Mm.
happened. Because I wasn't not enjoying it, sort of thing. Like I'm wondering if maybe it wasn't like my copy of the game. I'm not, something like that. In other words, happened. But yeah, I've never quite
Ah.
finished it. It's always been on my list of like I need to finish it and then do an episode on it kind of game because it's so it's people that love that game. Um, like really stand by
Oh,
it.
oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, Arno, who I do the Let's Play with, like, yeah, he's like obsessed. You know,
Right.
like he's obsessed. I mean, like to the point, you know, he knows everything about it. You know, like all of the kind of behind the scenes stuff, like all the people involved. You know, he's like talked to them. He has like, you know, he has like original scripts that like the developer has sent him and stuff like that. So yeah, it's really interesting doing like a, you know, a let's play with him because like he'll bring up all this stuff that I'm not aware of, you know, and like there's always kind of details that you can find like playing that game again, you know.
Cool.
So
Yeah.
like, you know, like for me it has like a lot of replay value. Um, but yeah, like uh yeah, that's Harvester. There you go.
It's I think anytime a game has the smallest of cult following, it always piques my interest. Like even if it's just one person, like if a game can make somebody
Mm,
that obsessed, like I want to know what's going on there. Like you know, just in case I'm like the second person that loves it that much, right? You never know.
yeah, I think it's the kind of thing that kind of goes like beyond the game. You know, I mean, there's just
Yeah.
like, you know, y- like if there's like enough behind it, then you know you can kind of keep you know, keep kind of finding, yeah, like, you know, finding out more stuff about it. And yeah, there's a lot of interesting like production history, you know, kind of behind the making of that game. And you know, like stuff that they, you know, stuff that they wanted to do but like couldn't,
Mm.
and all this kind of thing. And you know, it has like an interesting like production history because, you know, like it was supposed to be released at a certain time, and then it got delayed for like a couple of years or however long it was. And so you know, like it has kind of like a troubled past. uh so yeah, but you know, but what came out of it is a very kind of unique game. I think it certainly has its flaws. I mean, you know, like there's
Right.
some, yeah, there's some kind of dodgy stuff about it. I mean, the combat is just, I don't know, it's pretty bad. But you know, I mean, like I mean, like the strength of the game isn't in like its combat mechanic.
Right.
It's you know, like you don't play it for that. You play it because um eh, yeah. Why do you play Harvester? That's it. Well, just well, you know, it's just kind of like, you know, it's one of those things where, like you don't know what's real and you know what's not, and you know, like you're in kind of like a strange place, like you don't know, you know,
It's kind of
kind of how you,
Phantasmagoria 2 vibes there, right? Where it's like you can't tell what's like a
right,
hallucination or what's real life.
right, yeah, exactly.
So it intrigues me too because I can get kind of weird about Blade Runner in that same sense, where it's just you know
Mm,
just have all like the random facts, and like you could watch it with me, and I could play like an Easter egg video on YouTube where it's like, oh, in this scene, he showed up, blah blah blah, like, so that kind of stuff's kind of fun when a game or a movie has so much like subtext that you could learn something new every time you play it, or see a new detail you missed before. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah. So I think it's your turn next.
All right, so I'm looking at how long we've been going and how much more is on my list. So I'm like trying to mentally cut it down. I'm gonna
Oh, right, okay.
I'm gonna throw a couple away as honorable mentions to everyone, and just say Franbo is pretty fun. There's a cool mechanic there as far as like the whole world just does like a 180 and flips into like this insanity. Seventh Guest is on my list just out of obligation.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think you kind of have to put that on there. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like Harvester. Like, I don't want to get yelled at, so there's Seventh Guest. And then okay, so I'm gonna just name off three real quick, and I'm mostly throwing these away because we've done episodes on them before. So for like I think we've a pretty loyal listener group. So I always feel bad about just like beating horses or. Wait, beating off horse? Nope, not that. Not beating off horses.
sorry, what?
Beating a dead horse? Look, let's just everybody leave the horse alone.
Beating off horses.
Yes, for the sake of beating off horses. Ow.
That's a great. I've never heard that expression. That's a good one.
I don't want to beat off a horse here, but
I'm gonna remember that. I'll remember that one. Yeah.
Enclosure is one we've done an episode on. That's an amazing little game. Have you played Enclosure?
No, actually, like that was one of the few ones on the list that I'm not so familiar with. Yeah, like that one. Yeah, there was a couple on your list I didn't really know. Yeah, that one and the
Long Reach.
What is it? The Long Reach. Yeah, like
right.
I hadn't heard of that. I hadn't heard of that. So.
Yeah, they're both good. The Enclosure, I would say, is I don't want to say much better, but I would prioritize playing that as opposed. Long Reach is like, yeah, you could play it. It's good and it's fun, and the art's beautiful and there's good suspense. But it's, if somebody told me it was mediocre, I probably wouldn't argue that either with Long Reach. But Enclosure is like it's like almost like, what if Sierra had like a lost horror suspense AGI game, text parser. And it does such a good job of like filling in a gap you didn't even know it existed. Where it's like I didn't realize Sierra was missing a horror AGI game until this came out, and it just fits that slot perfectly. And we've actually done. And we've actually, I think we did 2 episodes on it because there was a 3D remake done recently. So we covered it twice. But yeah, it's a really fun game and it's free. So anybody out there, I mean, everyone who's long-term listeners is like, please stop talking about this game now. But but I guess you geek specifically, you should check it out.
Yeah. Well, no, I'd heard. I had heard of it. Like, yeah, I think it came up on like a stream or something I was watching. I think it might have been Julia Minamata who might have mentioned it,
because Mouseness is in there a lot, right? Yes.
Right. Okay, but yeah, but I didn't really know much about it, and I certainly didn't know it was like a horror game because like from the title I didn't think it was. But
fair, right? Yeah, it's like an isolation. Yeah, is horror too far? It's definitely at least suspense. Yeah, I think it's considered horror. But I mean, it's all in AGI, like very primitive. It might be generous to say horror, but it's creepy. It creeped me out a few times. So, but anyway, yeah. So Enclosure, The Long Reach, which is just it's just like a fun time. We did an episode on that a long time ago, and then the last one I'll mention that we did an episode on prior was Blackstone Chronicles. Have you played that one?
Actually, no. I mean, I've heard of them. Like I know what it is, but no, I've never actually played that.
Yeah, and so I hadn't heard of this either. Anna, I think she was like kind of nostalgic for it. I believe she grew up playing it, so she brought it to our attention, and we all played it. It's really hard to even get to play because it's like that weird 1998 through 2002 era where it's like just hard to emulate that stuff. We need a good Windows 98 emulator. That would be handy. But
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, especially for games like that aren't on GOG. I mean, I think if I don't think it's on GOG. I mean, if it was, I might have played it by now. But
Good point.
I'm yeah, I'm a little bit lazy with with that kind of stuff. Like, if it's not on GOG and I can't I can't play it without having to fiddle around with like like emulators and stuff. Like
If you
I
can't
I, I
if you can't play it while you're pooping, you're not interested. It's just
so, right, sure, exactly, yeah. So
That's
yeah,
fair. That's fair. Well, out of the three I just mentioned, Blackstone would probably be the best for this time of year, just because you're walking around like a creepy abandoned place, and there's ghosts, and it's a very, very quintessential Halloween kind of vibe. I'm not sure about the pumpkins, but that's okay so far. I think only Sanitarium has the pumpkins, but we're gonna find a second one to go next to it eventually. Okay, so there's the three throwaways, and then that'll bring me into my actual mention, which would be Unavowed from Why Should I?
all right, okay. So what makes that a Halloween game?
Unclear. It's see again. It's as soon as there's like investigation, suspense, and rain, I'm including it, which is I guess turns out to be the guidelines here.
I see. Okay, right. So then so something like Blade Runner then like fits into that category,
Right? Yeah.
right?
Somehow, I guess it does. Instead of spooky games, we're actually just talking about games in which it rains in today.
Games with rain. That's right. So we've got Kathy Rain.
Yeah.
Kathy Rain has rain, right? Doesn't it?
I
Is that
hope
right?
so.
I can't remember.
Right? At the risk of false advertising.
It's not just in the title. I don't know, but anyway, yeah. But yeah, Blade Runner, sure. Yeah.
And Unavowed has it's got like the sea monster in it, there, and just God, just I think just the backdrops look scary. If nothing else, the atmosphere is kind of spooky. And then there's like kind of some supernatural stuff going on with like the dead and
Right.
yeah. It can work if you really lube it up and shove it in there. It can work as a that was gross. I'm so sorry. That it can work as a spooky game.
It's okay. Right. I guess. Well, I only played some of that game, so I guess I didn't. What did you say? Lube it up and what?
Yeah, lube it up and shove it in.
there?
Yeah, it's
Okay, well, see, I didn't finish that game, so I didn't shove it in all the way there. But
right.
I
didn't mean it to sound so rapey. I'm so sorry.
But anyway, I pulled out at a certain point. Excuse me.
You were right to separate yourself from the
right. But, yeah, not for any particular reason. I don't know. I'm probably going to have to go back to that, and like the same with the other sorry, I was thinking of Blackstone, Blackwell games.
Right.
Yeah. With the other Blackwell games, I think I played maybe 2 or 3 of those. So I didn't actually finish the the series. So yeah, again, it's like some of those games I just been meaning to play and just never got around to it. So.
Yeah, no, Sam. I think at least speaking for us and probably most of the listeners, like there's probably more games in our library than games we've actually played because they just they keep coming out, and I keep trying to play new games, but then there's like that part of me just wants to play Space Quest 5 for like the 20th time instead, and
really? I don't have that same desire, but it's like. Sorry, trolls. I'm sorry. It's like he's got space. I see. I've got King's Quest though. You see, like King's Quest is my thing. Like it's always been that. It's just because like that's what I grew up playing.
Right.
I was going to mention like a more obscure one, I guess that I played, not so long ago, which is Land of Crows. It's called. I just kind of found it randomly on Steam, and it kind of has like it has a black and white look to it. And it's like it's a Polish developer, but it's in English. It has English text. But yeah, like that's a really interesting one. It has a really interesting aesthetic to it. It's a little bit like Lost Crown in that it's kind of like black and white like that. Um, and there's actually a lot of history in that as well, like a little bit like Beast Within. There's a lot of kind of Polish history to it, and all that, but it has such a great atmosphere, that game. I was actually really surprised because I started playing. I'm like, oh, I don't really know what this is, and whatever. But then, like, yeah, I was actually pleasantly surprised. Like it was really good. So yeah.
I love games like that. It looks absolutely gorgeous. Looking at this scene with the candles on the wall, like a light, it's just really
Yeah,
atmospheric and
yeah,
cool.
yeah. It's one of those games. It has such an interesting look to it. It's very unique.
Yeah,
You just don't see many games like that, and I kind of enjoy like kind of discovering games like that, and then kind of finding, oh right, I never I never knew about this, and it's actually quite intriguing. And the other thing about that one is it's all we're talking about games based on real places like Beast Within, and like this is also another one as well. So there's a lot of kind of real places in there as well. Which, and I guess when I'm playing a game like that, I kind of like subconsciously feel that
yeah,
this kind of like a basis in reality to it, and I don't know. I'm a real sucker for that kind of thing, where
yeah.
it's like you kind of take a place and like transform it into something else, like for the game, and like I find that really intriguing. So
Yeah, no, same here. You've completely sold me on picking this game up in large part because of that,
yeah.
because it tying into reality. I'm going to check that out. Yeah, everyone listening, you should check out The Land of Crows. It's gorgeous looking too.
Yeah, it's really intriguing. It's not for it won't be everyone's cup of tea. I mean that's true. But if you're into kind of like strange kind of like kind of foreign feeling game, oh god, how do I how do I explain it? What's a good pitch?
Right.
Uh,
Yeah.
it's like it has like a foreignness to it. I don't know how to describe it. Like an other world. It's like an otherworldly,
There you go.
and it's like an otherworldly feel to it, basically. Um, you know,
It is
I
quite
think
hard
it's
to
how
describe.
best to describe it. Yeah, it's hard to describe. Yeah, but it has this kind of weird, quirky, otherworldly feel to it. So yeah, and I'm a sucker for that. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a great one. But you're right. No, it is. I've been trying to back you up this whole time. I know I'm sitting here in silence, but it's like because I'm like it's not
Mm,
surreal. It's not quite uncanny, but like there's like
mm,
some of the
mm,
graphics almost look like in a good way, like cut out of a magazine and pasted in. Like again in a
mm,
good way, and that's not
mm.
even an accurate way to say what I'm saying. It's just it's not like anything I've really seen before, which I guess is enough of a
Right.
pitch.
Yeah. Yeah. Um. Okay. Is there anything else on your list, or have we covered most of it?
I think that's it because I have just some reaches left. Like I think the ones I'm looking at now are like just in case we ran out of time or ran out of things to say, which we very much did not. Um, but it's like I'm
Mm,
always afraid I won't have enough. So I have stuff on here like the dig, that's a stretch. I mean, yeah, there's some isolation and like some brutally murdered cabin mates or crewmates. I mean, but it's not really,
right.
you know,
Any pumpkins in that one?
right. A distinct lack of pumpkins once again.
Distinct like right. Yeah. Again, the dig is another one that it's on my list. Like games that I've been meaning to play, and that I've heard a lot about. You know, like people keep bringing that one up. So.
The dig, I think it's the best game to worst puzzle ratio. Like it's such a great story and
Hmm.
it wants to be such a great game, but it has the worst puzzles. Like just
Oh,
so many
really?
just
Oh.
I mean for me anyway, they were very like close to logic puzzles, like close to sliding tile, but not really, where it's like just like the shapes of gemstones. Got a lot of gemstones, man. Too many gemstones. But it was just like the
All
story was
right.
so much better than the puzzles. The puzzles always just felt like just kind of mean and just
Ah,
not fun. So I guess my point would be is if you're gonna play it, I would say, and speaking to listeners too, if you're gonna play the dig, play this one with a walkthrough or with universal hints, because it's like
mhm.
it'd be better to experience the story through and use walkthroughs than to not experience it at all. And then otherwise
Right.
it'd probably just be a really frustrating experience if you didn't have walkthroughs, because it's just not, the puzzles aren't, they weren't super fun. They weren't very, like, for me, like I really don't like
Yeah.
logic puzzles and stuff like that, you know. So it's like it's not like immersive, like part of the story puzzles. It's very just like stop playing the game and start doing a logic thing. Like, ugh, why?
Right, right. Yeah, like I think that's also, that's also an interesting subject for a podcast or whatever. Because I was just thinking about this because like I'm play testing this game, and like whenever I'm play testing, there's no walkthrough yet
Right.
because it's not been released, and so you're kind of forced to play the game without a walkthrough.
Yeah.
And it's kind of an interesting experience because it's kind of like going back to when I used to play games, and I couldn't just look at a walkthrough online and do that. But I actually get I get a lot of satisfaction out of figuring these things out myself. But it's kind of like it's kind of like how far do you go with it? I mean, like like at what point do you just kind of give up and be like, okay,
Mm.
look, I really can't solve this. Like I need I need the solution, right? Because I think there kind of comes a point if you're just like spending hours and hours just like just hitting your head against the wall and just like going mental, like trying to figure this thing out.
Right.
I think that I think I think that it's okay to kind of look at a walkthrough or whatever. Um,
Yeah, agreed.
so, but
Especially if it's like
anyway,
that versus like bailing altogether. But no, it's an interesting topic in the sense of like the reason why people that, including yourself, that love King's Quest 3, it's like because you got through it yourself. And I did that with Thimbleweed Park, where I played it immediately, like before somebody could come out with a walkthrough. Like the first day it was released, I started playing it, and I
right,
just played it all week, and because I knew I didn't have the self control necessary to not look for a walkthrough, so I tried to play it before one came out, and I think I'll always elevate that game above so many others just because I like really worked it out on my own. But to your point,
right,
or extending on it, it's like there is a difference between back in the day with King's Quest 3, let's say, like that was probably the only game that you had for 6 to 12 months. It's like this was
mm,
my game for the summer, or whatever. So you nowadays, in other words, it's like if we get stuck, like you said, like how long do you keep trying when there's 1,000 other games in our library we could play right now instead?
yeah, yeah, sure. I mean, I think, yeah, I mean, like if you spend a long time like trying to figure out a puzzle, it's satisfying when you figure it out yourself, like if the solution is like logical,
Yeah,
right? It's like the frustrating part is when it's some like kind of stupid thing
yeah,
that isn't even something that you would necessarily think of. It's just like, oh, you forgot to do this, but it's kind of like it's not really your fault, you know
yeah, yes,
it's just kind of like a funny game mechanic or something like that. Like, oh, you had to look at this before you did this, and there's like this triggers this, but you wouldn't know it, or something like that. Is like those are the things that are like really frustrating.
agreed. It's
But
almost like a,
yeah.
if when you look at the walkthrough, I think with a good puzzle, you should probably be mad at yourself for once you see the
Mm,
solution, where it's like, I should have thought of that. Like that's probably a
yeah.
good puzzle where you're a little bit stuck, but then you find the answer and you're like, damn it, I could have done that myself. As opposed to you look at the walkthrough and it's like, well, I should have done this an hour ago. This is ridiculous. I would have never figured that out.
Right. So like, so all the good puzzles are ones where like you feel like an idiot for not thinking of it,
Yeah,
not thinking of
basically.
it yourself.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Although that's coming from a bunch of masochists. What do we know? We just.
Right.
All right. So
Yeah.
I think I think that's it. Do you have any others you wanna list before we wrap it up?
Probably. Yeah. I mean, like, we've covered a lot.
Yeah.
So and yeah, like I think we've covered most of the ones on my list. I mean, I do have a few other ones. Let's see, like which ones can I mention? I don't know, just like the like the Cat Lady
Mm,
trilogy. I guess you could say like Cat Lady, well, Downfall, Cat Lady, and Lorelei.
Lorelei. Is that Soma
The
as well?
those games. Hmm?
Wait, is that from the people who did Soma?
No,
Okay.
no. Um, it's Harvester Games. Yeah.
Okay.
So they did that. That's kind of like the trilogy, and then the most recent game was Burnhouse Lane,
Okay.
um, which I haven't finished actually. Then yeah, but yeah. So like those ones. Dark Side Detective, which was also on your list.
Right.
Which is yeah, it's not really spooky or scary. It's just
But it
it's
is
just
raining
fun.
at some points.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Oh, it is. Yeah. It does have rain in it. Oh, excavation of Hobbs Barrow has rain
Oh
for
yes.
sure. Yeah. So like, I think I would definitely mention that one. That's yeah, like that was great. But yeah, like that was one of my favorite games like released last year. Um and yeah, the Black Mirror series, which I really really like. Scratches is another one. Um, and that's about it. Um,
Well,
yeah.
how about this? If you could just out of everything we talked about, pick one game. Like if the listener
Oh.
was gonna play the game that you said for Halloween, what would it be?
Okay. Okay. Like, so recommend one game for people to play at Halloween.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. Let's see. Phantasmagoria 2.
Nice.
That's just, well, no. Okay. Well, no. I'll say. Hmm. Uh, which one would I choose? Well, no, like that's actually one that I would choose.
Yeah. I know it's
Uh,
actually that's I'm starting to think I'm like, well, maybe if he doesn't pick it, you can. It's not bad. It's a pretty because it's so I don't know. It's almost I don't know about underrated, but yeah, I think it's just one of those games. A lot of people will be like, I could skip that one, but it's like, nah, I want people to experience that one. That's for sure.
yeah, for sure. That, I mean, if we're including, yeah, I mean, if we're including Beast Within, obviously, I would always recommend Beast Within.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah, like talking about excavation of Hobbs Barrow, I'd highly recommend that as well. Uh, and any, I know I'm supposed to pick one, but anyway,
Yeah,
but,
that's
and,
too
and
high.
and 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 any, you know, Lost Crown, Darkfall, Barrow Hill, any of those. So there you go. It's hard to pick one. It's
No,
hard to pick
I
one.
know it's never fair to do
Yeah.
one, and I guess I would say from what you just said, so maybe like your modern one would be Hobbs Barrow, and your classic would be Beast Within. Is that fair?
Uh yeah, I think so. I just yeah, I mean, Beast Within, I would recommend, like, not just for Halloween though. See, I would
Right.
recommend that kind of, I'd recommend that any day of the year. So, I mean, if we're talking specifically for Halloween, uh then I would say yeah, Phantasmagoria 2, I
Fair
guess.
enough. Yeah.
Why not?
it,
We'll just go with that
it felt
one.
inevitable. Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
I'm gonna just straight copy. I would say, well, okay. I do want to copy, but just for the sake of just saying something different, I'll say Sanitarium if you haven't played it, and then for a modern one, I'll say Midnight Scenes because
Oh, okay.
that's a fun
Yeah,
vibe.
yeah. Oh, like you mentioned Thimbleweed Park. Is that a Halloween game?
No, and I don't think it rains either. Damn.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I guess it's does it feel, I don't know, it has like it has that like there's been a murder kind of vibe. So I guess
Hmm.
in hindsight, a lot of the games on my list come down to the fact that there was just simply a murder at some point.
Oh. Oh. Okay.
Or you know what? I
Hmm.
think I'm also mistaking scary for investigatory, investigative. Nope, not that. That's not a word. But you know, like anytime there's like just like detective-y, like somebody's been killed and it's nighttime. For some reason, I just automatically was like,
Oh.
I let it in the
Right.
club. I'm like, you're in. You sound spooky. Um,
Well, I guess it depends, like who the murderer was.
that's a
You
good
know.
point. Right? Yeah, that's a very good point. Because it's almost
I
like
mean, yeah. I mean, if it's just like a murder by, I mean, obviously, if they were murdered by Dracula or a werewolf
right,
or a werewolf or something, then yeah, that's Halloween. But if it's just like if they were murdered by just some like a
manslaughter. You
murder,
know, just
yeah, like that yeah, exactly. So, yeah. Like, it has to be some kind of some kind of supernatural thing or some monster or something or whatever. I don't think it could just be like a regular human murder. I don't think.
yeah, that's fair. And
But,
then with well, I guess I won't spoil the whole Thimbleweed Park game, but I was gonna
mm,
say if Darkseid could be, and then Thimbleweed could be too, but really that's probably not accurate because Darkseid does have like at least it has like supernatural aspects to it, overtly.
right,
Yeah.
right, yeah. And then are there any ghosts in Thimbleweed Park?
Oh, that's right. There is. That can help it.
Huh,
Franklin, Dolores's dad, is a ghost, and you get to
right.
play as him as a little bit. So yeah, that would be like a little spooky.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I guess it does have. Yeah, again, it's a bit like you can put that in there along with like Blackwell games
Right.
and all that.
All
Yeah,
the ones that I had to loop up, basically, it can it can go with all those.
that's right.
It's a real spit in your palm kind of choice. Ah, that's gross. I'm sorry. Why do I? My God. All right. Well, so let me. How do I end episodes alone? I'm not sure. I'm pulling
I
up.
think I think that was a great ending. I think I think what you just said, that's fine.
Oh, you're awesome. You're like, what more do you want? I mean, that's a bookmark if I ever seen one. Or
Right.
all right. So okay, well let me pitch your channel. Everybody go check out Adventure Game Geek on YouTube. I have the URL pulled up, which is kind of pointless because that's not how humans work. We just type stuff in the search bar. But just in case
Mm,
you're super nerdy, which I mean you're listening to this, so but it's youtube.com/@AdventureGameGeek. But again, just do the more human being thing and just search Adventure Game Geek. I'm sure you guys already have.
mm.
But also, if you guys if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. I'm gonna be annoying for him. Press all the buttons, dude. Press the. I'm not a YouTube. Press the notification thing. No, wait. You gotta see smash them on YouTube. You don't
The
press
what?
them.
Oh, smash them. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. I I think I need someone to do that for me because yeah, like I never actually I never really do that. Like I never really I never tell people to smash the like or subscribe button. So like I need someone to come on like you or whoever, just like to just come on and be like, don't forget to smash that button. So yeah,
I get that, man.
yeah.
Whenever I listen to podcasts at the end, they're like, "Oh, and leave us a review on your blah blah blah," and I'm like, "Ah, yeah, I need to say stuff like that, huh?" But yeah, listen or not listen. We'll do that too. Listen and watch Geek and subscribe. And do you have any other things that they should? Any more homework for them? Should they? Do you have like a Twitch or anything like that?
Homework? No, I don't. I have a Twitch, but I don't use it. Yeah. See, I'm not a streamer. I just I just do reviews. Really.
Oh, what about Twitter?
That's my thing.
At Point and Click Geek.
Oh yeah, yeah. Twitter at point and click geek. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So guys, do that. I'll put it in the description so everybody listening, you could just tap the thing and then tap it several more times until you're subscribed and all that stuff. So is that a deal? Do we have a
Oh,
deal?
and yeah, and so for Halloween, yeah, I'm definitely gonna be doing a video on Waxworks.
Cool.
And yeah, and then like I'm trying to figure out my schedule. Like depending on when I finish that one, like I may do another Halloween themed game, which would also be my 100th episode.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, like I've been trying to decide what to do for my 100th episode. I'm not sure if what I have in mind is a really good idea at all, but but anyway, like we'll see how it goes. I'm not going to make any promises now because it might all just not happen. But yeah, like I don't know. We'll see. Like for my 50th episode, I did King's Quest. Yeah, King's Quest 1. So it's like my favorite game, basically. Like
Right.
my favorite adventure game. So, I was thinking for my 100th episode, I would do my least favorite adventure game.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So, like that could be like an interesting one. But yeah, I've been trying to decide what my least favorite adventure game is. You know, I've got an idea, but we'll see how we'll see how it turns out.
You're gonna have to dust off the old chainsaw, bring her back.
Oh, right. Yeah. Like, yeah, maybe I'll have to. Actually, yeah, because it's one of those games like the one that I'm thinking of doing. Yeah, it's one of those games that just like I totally rage quit on it when I first played it because I could so I could not figure it out. I'm just like, what the hell, what the hell is this? And it's not even really like an adventure game, like but anyway, like we'll see we'll see how that goes. I it all depends if I can actually stand to kind of like get through it, really. Like I mean, because like
Right, because you need to.
I just like I couldn't even get through the first stage. I'm like, my God, like I don't know if I can do this.
I
So
forgot
we'll
about
see.
that. Right? Do you even want to put yourself through getting the footage for the video?
Right, exactly. And so I'm not making it. I'm not going to make any promises because I just don't know. So, but
Well,
anyway,
that's fun for our listeners, because then if the 100th episode is not that, then we'll all know that it pissed you off again and it didn't make the cut at all.
I mean that could make a good video as well. But like usually though, like if I make a video, like I do want to have played the game like all the way through. Like
Right.
I don't think I've done a video where I haven't actually played the game like all the way through. So but yeah, we'll see.
All right. Well, I'm gonna link Geek in the description. Well, I mean, kind of as usual, right? Because there's always the hotspot people. Oh, right. So I pulled up my own podcast on my phone, so I can read what Anna says at this point, which is, thanks for listening. First of all, everybody, you guys are great. Sorry for yelling at King's Quest 3 last episode. I really am. Okay. I'll just say real quickly. I didn't lean into the bit enough, and I didn't tell Anna that the idea was, like, in revealing 4 as our favorite, we were supposed to like really shit on the other ones. But you know how it is, like, you got to really commit to that bit so that everyone knows it's a bit, or otherwise it just comes across as like a little mean. And I think I accidentally came across meaner than I meant to, because I do like 3, and I would actually rank it my 3rd favorite King's Quest. So it definitely came across meaner than I meant it to. So I'm sorry for anybody who like cherishes that game, because I think I bleeped out the words I was actually calling you guys, so I won't say it now. So basically, I'm sorry for yelling, and sorry for calling you that bleeped out name. I want to say it now and then bleep it again for a joke, but I'm feeling kind of lazy. Like, will future me be pissed it past me? Like, damn it, Corman, I don't know where the bleep thing is. But yeah. Anyway, thanks for listening. Check out Adventure Game Geek on YouTube. Check out all our friends in the Hotspot Network, which would be Space Quest Historian, Adventure Game Geek, because I'm reading off a thing, and you're next. One Short Eye, Conversations with Curtis, and then Adventure Game Hotspot themselves. Check us out on Twitter at CGG Podcast, at Phantom Fellows, and at Point and Click Geek. Send us an email, mail@classicgamersguild.com. Thank you so much to our Patreons, especially to Brian and Michael, but to everybody for supporting the show and helping us do this thing to where it doesn't cost us money. So that's awesome. We're a page in a group on Facebook, and we're probably on Instagram too. So there's all those things. And I know it's tempting this time of year, but don't do murder.